Melrose Place and Money Talks were the shows that made Heather Locklear famous in Hollywood. Her ability and attractiveness catapulted her to '90s stardom, but her private life was a far cry from the spotlight. Her once promising career has been overshadowed by her battles with addiction, inner turmoil, and devastating choices. However, something much more tragic has been revealed in the most recent news regarding Locklear. Who was this famous person who seemed to have it all? As her fame started to wane in the early 2000s, the once beloved actress Locklear began to battle demons that would later have a devastating effect on her professional and personal life. The maelstrom that Locklear felt unable to escape appeared to have been caused by the pressures of Hollywood in addition to her own life issues. As she fell further and more into a vicious cycle of substance misuse and mental health issues, her loved ones stood by helplessly as she checked into rehab on many occasions. Recovering has not been an easy road for Locklear. Over the course of 2019, she had checked herself into more than 20 different treatment centers, each time with the faint promise that things would be different. Those who cared about her were perpetually worried about the emotional and financial costs of her recurrent attempts to reclaim control of her life. Substance abuse wasn't the only thing Locklear had to fight. Additionally, she had been struggling for years with her mental health. The actress sought treatment for depression and anxiety at the Arizona facility Sierra Tucson in 2008. Her hardships were clearly weighing her down. Even though she wanted to be alone at the moment, she couldn't because her life was so public. No statement has been made, and comments regarding Heather's whereabouts will not be made, according to her representative at the time, in an effort to shield her from the media hysteria that engulfed her. But being in the spotlight meant that everyone was watching Locklear's every move. Your every slip-up was amplified. The actress, who had before been a red carpet and magazine cover girl, was now the focus of tabloid tales chronicling her fall from grace. It was public knowledge that she battled anxiety and despair, but she kept her suffering a secret, concealed from the curious gaze of the outside world. Even Locklear's relationship started to bring her pain. Her 1986 wedding to Tommy Lee, drummer for Motley Crue, was a much publicized event, and fans were captivated by the unconventional union of the two stars. However, there were many problems behind the surface of the marriage. Locklear had hoped that her marriage to Lee would endure, but by 1993, no longer were they married. Locklear: "When I think back on our breakup, I don't feel sad or destroyed. Sadness is the main emotion." But the depth of her sorrow was more than she admitted. It ushered in a string of troubled relationships. Locklear rekindled her love life with Bon Jovi guitarist Richie Sambora shortly after her divorce from Lee. For a while following their 1994 wedding, Locklear appeared to have finally found her happily ever after. After having a daughter, Ava, the couple seemed like the ideal Hollywood family for almost a decade. However, rifts were beginning to appear behind the scenes. Even Locklear was taken aback by Sambora's 2006 divorce file, which shook the world. Her spokesman declared that this is an internal matter and that there will be no additional statements at this time, so the general public is free to wonder what went wrong. A watershed moment for Locklear came when her marriage to Sambora came to an end. The combination of her mental health struggles, the demands of her profession, and the pain from her breakup only served to deepen her downward spiral. When 2018 rolled around, Locklear's problems finally snapped. She was left defenseless and isolated after a terrible chain reaction began when she reportedly refused assistance from people closest to her. A source informed people that Heather is obviously not receiving the necessary medical and mental health treatment. Getting an accurate assessment and treatment for the underlying mental health issues is equally as important as rehab for drug disorders. For Locklear's loved ones, the news of her denial of aid was devastating. Although Locklear's loved ones were rooting for her to recover, they understood that she alone could make the call. The once beautiful and powerful actress was now a mere shell of her former self, challenging demons that were more powerful than any character she had portrayed in film. There were rays of sunshine scattered among the shadows that had fallen over her existence. By sharing the news with her Instagram followers, Locklear commemorated her first year sober in 2020. Hugs will follow. She celebrated her sobriety year today, writing a triumphal declaration that she was finally living her life on her own terms. But the road to recovery is never straightforward, and there were many obstacles that challenged Locklear's determination along the way. Battles, both public and private, have marked Locklear's path through addiction and rehabilitation. As she reflected on the impact her addiction had on her life in 2018, she shared a moving Instagram post. "Addiction is a vicious enemy that will do everything it can to defeat you. The best revenge is recovery," she wrote, providing insight into the challenges she encountered on a daily basis. However, there were indications that the fight was far from finished, even as she rejoiced in her sobriety. Word got out in July 2023 that Locklear was having sober issues again. According to our source, she had been imbibing and had even mentioned wanting to go back to rehab, but she hadn't actually done anything about it. For many who had been hoping for her recovery, the news was heartbreaking and caused them to worry about her health. Particularly an unsettling instance where she was observed strolling along the edge of a Malibu building, which only served to heighten concerns about her well-being. An eyewitness said that Locklear acted in a very disturbing manner, as well as talking to herself, which was quite weird and unsettling. Once again, Locklear's loved ones were forced to ponder what steps should be taken to assist him. Once surrounded by devoted fans and the accoutrements of stardom, the actress now found herself alone. Her current situation is very different from her once glamorous existence in Hollywood. The unwavering support of Locklear's daughter Ava was there throughout. Through thick and thin, Ava was there for her mother, a testament to the unbreakable tie that existed between them. Ava discussed her mother's relationship with Locklear in 2019, gushing over her. Heather Locklear's life was already difficult, but the betrayal of a close friend was an unexpected and devastating blow. She expressed her desire to follow in her mother's footsteps, a reflection of the strong bond they shared. The introduction of Denise Richards, who had been a pleasant presence in Locklear's life, as an intimate partner of Richie Sambora, Locklear's ex-husband, brought about an abrupt and profound anguish for Locklear. The treachery hit close to home for Locklear, who was already dealing with the difficult aftermath of her marriage to Sambora. They were neighbors and had a link through mutual acquaintances, including Charlie Sheen, with whom she had worked closely on Spin City. Although Richards and Sambora started dating after Sambora's divorce, the timing couldn't have been worse for Locklear, who was still dealing with her own breakup. Seeing her friend with her ex-husband was emotionally taxing, and the strain it caused was enough to break their friendship. Richards attempted to minimize the fallout, claiming in interviews that their friendship had already cooled before they became romantically involved. Richard attempted to clarify the situation by saying, "I did not steal someone's husband." However, the damage had already been done for Locklear, and her personal life continued to spiral into chaos, adding to her heartbreak. "Our friendship had brought us together because we were both going through divorces. Even before they rejoined after a long separation, her relationship with her high school boyfriend Chris Heiser was troubled. While rekindling a flame may have sounded like a romantic fantasy, their relationship was actually quite unstable." In 2018, Locklear was arrested on domestic violence charges following an incident at her Thousand Oaks, California home. The situation had gotten so out of hand that her brother had to call the police, and the accounts of that night are quite disturbing. The incident shocked those who knew Locklear, with many close to her expressing concerns about the state of her mental health and well-being. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office involved in the investigation noted that although Locklear claimed to be injured, no signs of injury were visible. As a result, they determined that she had battered her boyfriend, according to Sheriff's Office Captain Garo Karajian. Locklear was arrested after physically assaulting Heiser. In retrospect, an insider close to the actress said, "They rekindled their relationship a little over a year ago. We're not sure how good they are together. Despite the rough beginning, Locklear and Heiser stayed together, attempting to create stability from their chaotic past." However, Locklear's road to recovery was never smooth, and the support of her friends and family was vital during these difficult times. Her parents in particular were a constant presence, doing all they could to help their daughter regain control. The actress, who had once been known as the embodiment of Hollywood glitz, had transformed into someone who was nearly unrecognizable to those who had known her during her peak. And not even their unfaltering support could save Locklear from the downward spirals that seemed to engulf her whenever she appeared on Men. A hit-and-run accident that happened in April 2010 was one of the less significant but still troubling events in Heather Locklear's life. She had gone from being someone who was always prepared, professional, and beloved on set to someone who was fighting for her identity in the midst of the chaos that her life had become. Luckily, everyone was unharmed, but the incident still made headlines and added to the story of a once-loved actress whose life seemed to be falling apart. The incident took place in her black BMW sedan, which was still registered in her and her ex-husband Richie Sambora's names. The car had slammed into a parking sign, causing minor damage. Despite the fact that the accident was not severe, it garnered media attention, which Locklear probably didn't want at a troubling moment in her life. In a statement, Ventura District Attorney Gregory D. Totten verified the details and said that there wasn't enough evidence to file criminal charges because it was unclear who was behind the wheel. Locklear's love life was also fraught with drama, with her relationship with Melrose Place co-star Jack Wagner being one of the most publicized examples. Their long-term professional friendship blossomed into a romantic relationship, and by 2011 they were engaged and making plans for the future together. However, they broke off their engagement later that year due to the stress of wedding planning and worries about the impact of marriage on their children. When asked about his ex-fiancée during a period when her struggles were public knowledge, Wagner, ever the gentleman, responded thoughtfully, recognizing that everyone has to deal with problems. "We all have our struggles," he said. "And some of us handle them in different ways." This was in response to questions about Locklear with grace that Wagner fielded in an interview he gave to Entertainment Tonight in 2018. His remarks brought back memories of the constant struggles Locklear endured while she sought stability. "We may either make a conscious effort to get well or, failing that, time will tell." The bond between mother and daughter has stayed strong even as Locklear has dealt with her own personal demons. Ava, who has suffered from anxiety, has frequently mentioned how her mother has been an unfaltering rock for her, and this has been one of the most lasting and positive parts of her life despite all the hardships she has faced. Amidst the ups and downs of Locklear's life, her role as a mother has remained steady. Ava says that her mom helped her deal with anxiety, especially during a tough patch in 2019. Despite their distance, Locklear was always there for her daughter, providing guidance and comfort whenever Ava needed it. "No matter what, she would stop what she was doing and come comfort me," Ava said in an interview. Even though Locklear was dealing with her own problems, she made it a point to support Ava, revealing a loving and nurturing side of herself, even when her public persona was unstable. This strong bond between mother and daughter, formed in the crucible of personal struggle, has been a source of strength for both women. Among the many ups and downs in Heather Locklear's life, the most devastating was the death of her father, Bill. Ava expressed her gratitude to her mother, saying that Locklear had done everything she could to help her, from providing books on anxiety management to listening as she described the tough times. Heather informed her Instagram followers of the tragic news on June 12, 2024, and paid tribute to her father, whom she referred to as the most brilliant man I have ever known, writing, "The bar is oh so high," which perfectly captured the profound respect and admiration she felt for him. In the post, Heather also described her father as the love of her life and expressed the immense pride she felt in being his daughter. According to sources, Bill Locklear had been sick for some time and had been hospitalized earlier in February of that year. Heather and her family had a difficult time during his passing because he was more than a father. He was a guiding light in Heather's life, someone who had always been there for her, especially when she was down. Those close to the family knew how close Heather was to her father. Bill, ever the supportive father, responded to Heather's heartfelt video tribute honoring his 90th birthday in July 2019 with a loving message that mirrored the strong bond they shared. "Happy news that you have brought me today to be part of your life all the rest of your life." Despite the sorrow, Heather took comfort in remembering the love and knowledge her father had given her, and the loss of her father was a turning point in her life, forcing her to face the truth of losing a beloved connection. Following posting about better occasions like her daughter Ava's engagement, which Heather ranked as the second best day of her life. Following Ava's birth on social media, Heather's posts about her father's death broke the silence. As Heather mourned the loss of her father, she also reflected on her career and the challenges she faced in Hollywood. Her father had always been a rock for Heather, especially when she was navigating the rough waters of her personal struggles and her career. Heather still spoke of the joy she felt in aging in 2021, a perspective she attributed to the love and support she received from her parents. Heather persisted in her acting career despite the industry's habit of ignoring older actresses. Many viewed her part in the 2021 TV movie Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, the Christine Carlson story, as a possible comeback, an opportunity for Heather to show the world her ability. She came at the role with the same doggedness that had driven her career, ready to demonstrate that she was still capable of great things. Heather Locklear demonstrates that there is always hope for a better future despite terrible loss through her journey through grief and her ongoing struggle for her career. Despite facing numerous personal and professional challenges, she remains determined to move forward.